United States 5-cent coins, commonly known as nickels, hold a fascinating history filled with rare varieties, valuable errors, and legendary collector stories. From early Liberty and Buffalo nickels to Jefferson 5-cent coins, some examples in pristine condition or with unique mint characteristics can be worth thousands or even millions of dollars. This complete guide explores the history, hidden value, and collector appeal of all U.S. 5-cent coins, helping you understand how condition, rarity, and timing can transform a simple nickel into a life-changing treasure. The 5-cent coin of the United States, commonly known as a nickel, has always lived in the shadow of gold and silver coins. Yet history often hides its greatest surprises in the most ordinary objects. The year 1964 stands at a powerful crossroads in American coinage, a moment when tradition, metal composition, and massive production collided with quiet anomalies that still fuel collector legends today. In the world of rare coins, it is often said that value is not born from face value, but from what went wrong, what changed, or what was never meant to exist. In 1964, America was changing rapidly. The economy was shifting, metals were becoming expensive, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce coins faster than ever before. During such periods, mistakes, experimental strikes, and transitional pieces have historically appeared. Collectors believe that when speed overtakes precision, history leaves behind hidden treasures, coins that look ordinary but carry extraordinary stories beneath their surfaces. The 5-cent coin of that era was meant to be simple, durable, and common. Yet within millions of strikes, whispers of rare conditions emerged, coins with unusual metal balances, mysterious textures, deeper impressions, or surfaces that reflected light in a way no normal nickel should. Such coins, if preserved perfectly, are believed by collectors to exist as silent witnesses to minting chaos. Condition is everything in the rare coin universe. A 1964 5-cent coin that has never been circulated, never touched by human hands without protection, and never exposed to damage becomes something entirely different from the coin found in old pockets. In pristine condition, legends say such a piece transforms from spare change into a time capsule, holding the exact moment of its creation intact. What elevates a simple nickel into the realm of unimaginable wealth is not age alone, but rarity layered upon rarity. A coin struck with unusual pressure, from a worn or experimental die, or on a planchet that was never intended for circulation, creates a category beyond normal collecting. These are the kind of coins that never appear in everyday life and only surface when estates are open or old collections are examined decades later. Stories circulate among seasoned collectors of 5-cent coins that defy expectations. Coins heavier than standard, coins with mirror-like finishes never officially released, coins bearing details sharper than any known example. Whether these are mint anomalies, special test strikes, or undocumented variations, their existence feeds a belief that one coin can redefine a fortune overnight. The power of such a coin lies not only in its physical form, but in the market psychology surrounding it. When a coin is truly unique or nearly impossible to replicate, collectors do not compete with money alone. They compete with pride, legacy, and obsession. In such moments, value becomes theoretical, stretching into millions not because of metal, but because of desire. A 1964 5-cent coin preserved in absolute perfection, combined with an unrepeatable mint characteristic, becomes something museums want, investors chase, and private collectors hide from the public eye. Ownership of such a coin is not about spending. It is about safeguarding potential that may only be realized once in a generation. The phrase "don't sell too early" echoes constantly in the rare coin world, and for good reason. History shows that many legendary coins were sold for small sums before the market fully understood what they were. Those who held on, who waited, who trusted the long view, watched values multiply beyond imagination. Coins like this are not meant to be rushed to market or treated casually. They demand expert examination, controlled environments, and patience. One careless sale, one uninformed transaction, can destroy generational wealth in seconds. This is why collectors emphasize education before action and silence before celebration. The idea that a single coin could change a life overnight is not fantasy within collector culture. It is a documented pattern repeated across decades. While not every 1964 nickel carries such power, The possibility that one does is enough to keep collectors searching, inspecting, and believing. There's also an emotional element tied to such coins. They represent survival, surviving circulation, melting, neglect, and time. A rare 5-cent coin that reaches the present day untouched feels almost chosen, as if history itself protected it for a future owner. In private collections, such coins are often kept unseen, wrapped in layers of security and secrecy. Owners understand that exposure invites pressure, manipulation, and risk. True value, they believe, grows quietly. What makes the 1964 era especially fascinating is its position just before major changes in U.S. coinage philosophy. That moment of transition gives weight to every anomaly from that year, making even the smallest difference feel significant. Collectors do not merely buy coins, they buy stories. A 5-cent coin connected to a dramatic period, mysterious mint behavior, and unexplained characteristics becomes more than metal. It becomes narrative wealth. If you ever encounter a 1964 5-cent coin that feels different, looks sharper, heavier, or unusually flawless, wisdom suggests restraint. Do not rush, do not clean, do not dismiss. In the world of legendary coins, patience is often more valuable than gold. The greatest fortunes are not always loud. Sometimes they sit quietly in drawers, inherited unknowingly, waiting for someone who understands their language. Coins speak through details, not words. Ultimately, the legend of the 1964 5-cent coin is not about guaranteeing riches. It is about recognizing possibility. It is about understanding that history leaves doors unlocked for those willing to look closely. And in that understanding lies the true power of such a coin. Not the promise of wealth alone, but a reminder that extraordinary value often hides inside the most ordinary things, waiting for the right moment to change a destiny forever. The year 1973 in America was a time of change, color, and quiet mystery. It was a year when music soared, motors roared, and coins spun from mint presses in millions. Among all those ordinary pieces, imagine a single 5-cent coin that is not ordinary at all. A coin so rare, so perfect, so enigmatic that collectors whisper about it in hushed tones, as if its existence alone could rewrite someone's destiny overnight. Most people think of nickels as spare change, pocket fillers, or jingle in a jar at home. But within the vast sea of minted metal, history has a way of hiding golden stories in the smallest things. In the world of numismatics, the deep, passionate world of coin collectors, one unheard of 1973 nickel is spoken of as if it were a mythological relic, a treasure with a power so great it could turn fortune into legend. In 1973, the U.S. Mint struck millions of 5-cent coins, each designed to be durable, recognizable, and common. Yet amid these millions, some believe that at least one was struck under perfect, almost impossible conditions. A coin untouched by circulation, untouched by time, with metal grain so flawless that it reflects not just light, but history itself. Condition is a heartbeat of coin value. A worn coin is just pocket change. A flawless coin can become something entirely different, an artifact. Imagine a 1973 nickel preserved in absolute perfection, as if it leaped straight from the mint into a vault and was never seen again. The stories say that such a coin, if it exists, carries not just shine, but significance. Collectors often speak of the perfect strike, a coin that emerged from the press with unmatched clarity. Details sharper than any known example, surfaces smoother than nature would ever allow, edges like glass. They say a 1973 nickel like this would leap beyond numismatic categories into the rarefied air of history's most coveted coins. Now add to that the idea of an anomaly, a planchet not quite average, a die slight off from the standard, a pressure that created an unusual depth of detail. These are the quirks that transform everyday coins into legends. And legends are what capture imagination, drive auctions past millions, and make fortunes overnight. Picture this coin not as currency, but as a relic, a whisper of possibility, something that almost shouldn't exist. It sits in perfect condition, free from scratches, wear, or blemish. It gleams as if it held inside itself the light of the era it came from, a time of vinyl records, classic cars, and economic swings. If such a coin were ever authenticated, graded by the most respected experts in the world, and declared the singular example of its kind, its value would not be measured in mere dollars, but in the rarity of dreams. Where normal high-grade nickels might sell for a few hundred or a few $1,000s, this one could be whispered about as worth millions or more. There are stories among collectors about coins turning modest investors into legends themselves. Silent triumphs hidden until the right moment. They speak of auctions where thousands become millions in a heartbeat, where a single bid redefines value, where history and speculation dance in dazzling tension. And the 1973 nickel? In those collector circles, its legend is not one of certainty, but of electrifying possibility. Some say it was lost in an estate sale, mistaken for ordinary change. Others insist it remains in a private collection, unannounced, a secret held close. Who knows? Perhaps it sits in an old coin album, glimmering quietly. To hold such a coin would be to hold not just metal, but a narrative of rarity, of time preserved, of chance and choice. And the truly seasoned collector understands, the market does not merely purchase coins, it purchases stories. If a coin story is powerful enough, buyers will chase it with thirst unmatched by ordinary auctions. Imagine the shock when such a coin finally appears, when someone lifts it from obscurity and places it under bright lights of examination. The crowd would gasp, the press would swarm, collectors would circle, and the price? It would soar not because of 5 cents face value, but because of what it represents, almost limitless rarity. Some argue that real value is not just in metal, but in narrative. What story does a coin tell? How many eyes have gazed upon it? How long has it been hidden? A 1973 nickel that defies normal grading answers these questions with irresistible allure. But even as excitement builds imagination, prudent minds remind, many coins are ordinary and only a very few, if any, are legendary. Yet the possibility itself keeps collectors vigilant, always searching through old collections, albums, jars of forgotten coins. Imagine waking up one day to find such a coin in your change, a coin no one recognized, no one appreciated. And then imagine the world suddenly reacting to its discovery. Auction houses vying for its appearance, whispers turning into headlines, and the value climbing into millions. That kind of sudden transformation defines the word life-changing. Therefore, if you ever find a 1973 5-cent coin that looks different, sharper, smoother, extraordinary, do not be quick to dismiss it. Hold on to it. Study it, protect it, and above all, believe that sometimes history disguises its greatest wonders in the simplest forms. Because in the realm of rare coins, the ordinary is always watching, waiting to become extraordinary. The year 1974 in the United States was a moment suspended between eras, a time when music pulsated through radios, cars cruised with swagger, and coins clinked in pockets without thought or fascination. Among these everyday pieces of metal, the humble 5-cent coin, known simply as the nickel, circulated quietly with no one suspecting that history sometimes hides miracles in the most ordinary vessels of currency. Imagine a single 1974 nickel, average in design yet utterly extraordinary in essence, a coin that, unlike its millions of siblings, carries a story not visible to the casual eye. Its surface is breathtakingly perfect, an unblemished portal into the moment of its creation. There is nowhere, no nicks, no trace of circulation. It looks as if time itself paused to protect it. In the world of coin collecting, condition is the pulse that breathes life into value. A coin that has never been touched by careless hands, never swapped in a cash drawer, and never dropped into a sofa cushion becomes more than metal. It becomes a relic of untouched possibility. And for some coins, that untouched possibility transforms them into legends. A 1974 5-cent piece may seem ordinary on the outside, yet in the realm of numismatics, the passionate universe of coin lovers, rare exceptions are whispered about with awe. Imagine if, during production that year, a minute anomaly occurred, a momentary fluctuation in pressure, a temporary shift in metal composition, a minting press vibrating in a unique way. These tiny variations can forge a coin unlike any other, a one-of-a-kind treasure. The notion of rarity in coins is a curious paradox. A coin can be printed in the millions and yet hide within that multitude a singularity that defies statistics. This is a magic that keeps collectors scanning old albums, forgotten drawers, and dusty coin rolls, always hoping, always believing that something extraordinary might wait just beneath the surface. Now picture this 1974 nickel is not just flawless, but anomalous. Its dyes strike deeper than normal, its luster unmatched, its features so sharp they seem almost carved by intention rather than machine. This is not the nickel you find in everyday change. This is the coin that legends speak of in whispers, the one that could command attention not just from collectors, but from historians, museums, and private investors hungry for the unique. Imagine the tension that would fill an auction house when such a coin finally appears under the spotlight. A hush descended upon the crowd as the coin is revealed, its perfect surfaces catching the gallery lights. Bids rise in dizzying increments, fueled by desire, competitive spirit, and the intoxicating possibility of possession. Millions turn into tens of millions. Tiers of collectors strain to make history. But imagine this coin not just being worth millions. Imagine the murmurs turning into headlines that declare it potentially worth a fortune, so vast it could make a person a billionaire overnight. What transforms a simple metal disc into such a force of value is not the metal itself, but the story, the rarity, and the fevered belief of those who understand the language of singular treasures. Owners of such a coin become more than collectors. They become guardians of a narrative that bridges time. The coin is no longer merely currency. It is a key to legacy, a symbol of unobtainable perfection that only a fortunate few have ever dreamed of witnessing. And perhaps that is what makes the legend so intoxicating. The idea that someone, somewhere, might be holding this coin right now, without fully knowing its true worth. It might rest nestled in an old jewelry box, slipping unnoticed between receipts, or encased in a dusty album tucked away in a forgotten corner of a basement. To the untrained eye, it might look like any other nickel minted in 1974. But to experts, that hidden perfection, the unexplained brilliance, the mythical condition, would ignite recognition like a secret code finally deciphered. In that moment, the coin story shifts from quiet speculation to explosive revelation. Every collector knows that market value is not a simple calculation. It walks hand in hand with desire. When a coin becomes not just rare, but uniquely the rarest, its value detaches from normal expectations and soars into the realm of legend. People do not just bid with money. They bid with ambition, competition, and the hunger to own something history cannot replicate. The notion that a tiny nickel could carry such weight may seem unbelievable to outsiders, but to those who speak the language of rarity, it makes perfect sense. Value is not always measured by face worth or metal content. It is measured by story, origin, and the near impossible journey of survival from mint to modern day. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, casually emptying your pockets, and discovering this extraordinary coin lying among your change. Imagine the shock as the reality dawns that this small round piece could redefine your future, reshape your finances, and rewrite your personal history in ways you never thought possible. Yet, with such power comes a need for patience and knowledge. No one who holds something so rare would rush to sell it at a low price. Wisdom whispers that timing, presentation, and expert authentication are as crucial as the coin itself. Selling too early or to the wrong buyer could annihilate potential value in a single moment. Thus, the mystical 1974 nickel becomes not just a coin, but a symbol of hope and possibility. It represents a universal dream that a simple moment, an unremarkable object, could hold the key to unimaginable fortune. It reminds us that history sometimes hides its greatest treasures right beneath our noses, silent, unassuming, waiting for the world to recognize their brilliance. And whether this mythical coin truly exists in absolute perfection or remains a dream nestled in the hearts of collectors, its legend fuels passion, imagination, and unrelenting hope. The belief that history's greatest surprises often come wrapped in the smallest packages. The year 1980 stands like a vibrant snapshot in American history, a moment when pop culture pulsed with energy, when old coins jingled in pockets beside new dreams, and when a humble 5-cent piece passed through countless hands without anyone suspecting that hidden among them might lie something truly extraordinary. Treasury mint presses churn out ordinary nickels by the millions, yet in that sea of metal, some believe a single 1980 nickel exists that defies the mundane, a coin so perfect, so astonishingly rare, that its story borders on legend. Most nickels from that year were spent on everyday purchases: candy bars, soda, city bus rides. Yet the world of numismatics, the passionate, obsessive universe of coin collectors, teaches that sometimes history hides miracles in the unlikeliest places. To these collectors, condition is king. A coin untouched by circulation, unmarred by time, becomes less a piece of money and more a time capsule, a flawless moment frozen in metal. Imagine a 1985-cent coin that escaped the world entirely. Never jostled in the pocket, never scraped against another piece of change, never breathed upon without protection. Picture its surface pristine, gleaming with a brilliance that seems almost unreal. Details so sharp they look as though they were etched just moments ago, despite decades passing. This is a kind of perfection that turns ordinary currency into numismatic gold. Legend whispers that during that year's minting process, somewhere in the hum and rhythm of presses and planchets, an anomaly occurred. Perhaps a press misaligned ever so slightly, perhaps metal flowed under rare conditions, or perhaps a perfectly struck blank slipped into a storage vault and was forgotten. Whatever the cause, the result was believed to be a nickel unlike any other. Flawless, unique, breathtaking. Collectors speak of such coins in reverent tones. They speak not just of rarity, but of uniqueness. A coin that exists only once in history. A single artifact that captures a moment so precisely that no replica, no matter how expertly made, could ever match it. This is a kind of coin that could rewrite definitions of value, transforming a piece of 5-cent metal into something worth millions. The market for such treasures does not depend on face value. It depends on desire, narrative, and mystery. When a coin carries a story that captivates imaginations, when its existence defies ordinary expectation, when collectors hunger to possess something unreachable by most, then value becomes something almost intangible, until it's finally realized in the dramatic tension of a high-stakes auction. Imagine an auction house filled with the world's most dedicated collectors, each person holding their breath as the coin is revealed. The lights catch its flawless surface, and a hush falls across the room. Bids begin, first in thousands, then tens of thousands, then millions. Each bid a testament not just to wealth, but to belief in the coin's mythic power. This is where mere currency transcends into legend. And then imagine a bid so fierce it pushes the price toward what most would call unimaginable. A figure so staggering it eclipses anything previously seen for a 5-cent coin, maybe tens of millions, maybe more. In that moment, the coin stops being metal and becomes history, a narrative, a symbol, a dream that came true. But what makes a coin truly valuable isn't just perfection, it's story. It's the fact that it survived untouched, while millions of its counterparts entered circulation and faded. It's the idea that somewhere, perhaps hidden in a dusty old photo album or tucked between pages of forgotten diary, this rare 1980 nickel might still lie unsuspected. Collectors often remind one another, do not rush to spend what you do not understand, because one small coin could carry within it the seeds of dramatic transformation. Someone might have found this coin decades ago and walked past it, unaware of its extraordinary nature, and someone else years later might look at it and see not 5 cents, but a dream waiting to be unlocked. Even the idea of such a coin fuels passion. People imagine finding it at the bottom of a jar of loose change or tucked into the corner of an old lunchbox. The idea that one seemingly ordinary object could carry such potential thrills the imagination and keeps collectors searching year after year through rolls and piles of forgotten coins. And then there is the emotional resonance of holding something that few, if any, others have ever seen. A coin like this does not merely belong to its owner. It defines its owner, a collector, a dreamer, someone who recognized value where others saw only common change. To many, that is a true treasure, the recognition of wonder amid the ordinary. Of course, such a coin would not be sold hastily. Wisdom dictates patience, careful authentication, expert grading, and strategic timing. One mistake could cost millions. Owners who understand what they have know that timing is almost as important as rarity itself. In this imagined story, the 1980 nickel becomes more than metal. It becomes a key to possibility. It represents belief in the unlikely, faith in the hidden, and the idea that history often leaves its greatest secrets in plain sight. Someone somewhere could hold this coin right now without knowing its true worth, and that possibility keeps the legend alive. People do not just collect coins for monetary gain. They collect them because each piece tells a story. And a coin like this would tell the greatest story of all, that sometimes the extraordinary hides in the everyday, waiting for someone perceptive enough to notice. So while most 1985-cent coins remain simple reminders of ordinary days past, the legend of the perfect 1980 nickel lives on, a testament to possibility, rarity, and the dream that one small piece of metal could carry the power not just to change a fortune, but to change a life forever. In the vast tapestry of American coinage, the 5-cent piece, the humble nickel, often goes unnoticed, slipping through pockets and purses as quietly as time itself. But legends have long whispered that among the millions struck in 1986, one extraordinary nickel may exist, a coin so rare, so impeccably preserved, and so full of character that its value could eclipse imagination. The year 1986 was not a year of radical change in U.S. coins, but sometimes history's most astonishing treasures hide in the most ordinary moments. Coins passed from hand to hand, clinked into cash registers, and accumulated in jars. Yet somewhere, tucked away in perfect stillness, there might lie a coin that defied the ordinary, a nickel that escaped the wearer's circulation and emerged from its creation with absolute purity. In coin collecting, condition is the very heartbeat of value, a coin that has never been marked by time. Its edges sharp, its surface glowing, becomes not just a piece of metal, but a moment frozen deep in history. Imagine a 1986 nickel so flawless that it appears untouched by anything but the minting press itself. No scratches, no discoloration, no sign of life except the perfect impression of the design. There are collectors who swear that somewhere hidden from the world lies just such a coin, a specimen that stands apart from all others, as if destiny itself chose it for preservation. They speak of coins with iridescent luster that refracts light like stardust, of details so crisp they seem almost carved by an artist rather than stamped by machinery. This coin, if it truly exists, would not simply be rare. It would be unique. And uniqueness is the secret force that elevates a coin from being merely collectible to being legendary. In a world where many coins are churned out by the millions, the one that escapes circulation entirely becomes a phenomenon, a singular object of desire and mystery. Imagine this coin being discovered by chance, perhaps inside a dusty old coin album or at the bottom of a forgotten drawer, or buried beneath layers of time in a jar of loose change. And when someone finally holds it up to the light, the coin seems almost aglow, as if it remembers the exact moment of its birth back in the mint, unblemished by the years that followed. The true magic of such coins lies not simply in their rarity, but in the stories they carry. Every imperfection in a worn coin tells a tale of circulation and use. But a perfect coin, one that has been untouched since the moment it left the press, points to the miraculous. Collectors crave this perfection, not just for its surface, but for its silent testimony to survival. In an auction house, coins like this do not merely sell, they captivate. Picture a room hushed with anticipation as the rare 1986 nickel is revealed under bright lights. Collectors and investors lean in, eyes fixed, as the coin's brilliance is examined and verified. Each new bid climbs skyward, propelled by desire, competition, and the lure of owning something beyond ordinary reach. Suddenly, the bidding passes the millions. Not hundreds of thousands, not mere six figures, but millions of dollars. And then, as the tension builds, the price continues climbing. In those moments, the coin stops being just a piece of currency. It becomes a legend, a story, a dream realized in metal form. What transforms this nickel from mere change into something worth such staggering sums is not the metal itself. Nickel is not a precious metal, but the combination of rarity, condition, and imagination. People do not just purchase coins at that level. They claim history, asserting ownership over something that may never be replicated. To own such a coin is to hold a silent power. Not everyone sees it. Only those who understand a universe of rare coins recognize the potential locked within its gleaming surface. And those who do understand guard their discoveries with care, knowing that one careless sale could squander fortune and opportunity. Indeed, there are stories, whispered among collectors, of individuals who unknowingly purchased extraordinary coins a fraction of their eventual value, only to learn of their true rarity years later. The shock, the exhilaration, and the subsequent transformation of value serve as reminders that sometimes our greatest treasures hide in plain sight. Imagine waking up one morning, sorting through old possessions or inherited collections, and stumbling upon this perfect 1986 nickel. At first, you might think it ordinary, a relic of everyday life. But a closer look, a moment of curiosity, could reveal brilliance like you have never known, brilliance that could change your life in ways you never expected. Yet, with such potential comes a necessity of wisdom. Authenticating a coin of this magnitude requires expert evaluation, professional grading, careful scrutiny, and discernment. Patience and knowledge are as crucial as the coin itself, for a treasure mishandled can lose value just as swiftly as it gains fame. And this is the mystery that keeps collectors awake at night. The possibility that somewhere, hidden in a forgotten nook, a coin of unparalleled perfection waits to be discovered. It ignites passion, fuels imagination, and compels people to look twice at the coins in their hands. For a coin to be worth millions, and maybe even make someone's fortune overnight, it must carry not just physical rarity, but narrative power. And the legend of the perfect 1986 nickel holds that power in abundance. So treasure every coin you encounter, because among the ordinary, the extraordinary may be quietly waiting, shimmering with potential, whispering of possibilities, and secretly holding the key to unimaginable wealth.